Hello everybody, this is Johnny S. Tuesday morning, coming to you with another R6 vlog. Another beautiful day in Greece. We're heading to work. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is motorcycles. So let me just open the visor. It's a little bit warm these days. So, as I have mentioned before, this is the bike that I'm riding at the moment. Is a Yamaha R6 2007 model. I've ridden quite a few models before this. Quite a few different bikes or models, ranging from different type of bikes. So I've driven the touring bike, not owned, just driven, whether that's from a friend, you know, or like test drived. Personally, the bikes that I had was the Kawasaki Z750, which was a street naked bike. I've driven a lot my wife's bike, which was the Kawasaki ER6N, and the Yamaha R6, which is my bike that I'm driving currently. So these are the bikes that I've really driven for a long time, and I know inside out, let's say. And from then on, I had some other bikes. I've driven a KTM Super Duke, which is more like a cross, not exactly cross, but anyway, like a cross sort of bike. I've driven my cousin's Yamaha XT, which is a full-on cross bike. I love bikes. Every single bike is it's good for its own purpose, let's say, for its own thing. You know, the cross, they have like a feeling like you're riding on the clouds, really free underneath. You can play around with it, you know, turn it on this side, turn it on that side. So it's a good feeling. But you know, the one which is my favorite, which is my, how can I say, the one which is towards my style, is the Super Sport. I really love the Super Sport class, and on some things it's not as, how can I say, as easy as other bikes, especially on the daily commute. You know, because of the positioning on the bike, it's a little bit more aggressive. So, you know, after some time you get a little bit tired. But I love the Super Sport because for road use, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about like dirt bikes and stuff, but you know, for the street, I think it's got very good technology. It's got the best, you know, it might not have the most user-friendly ergonomics, but it does have the best kind of technology. Like, for example, let's say brakes. You're not going to get the brakes on any other bike that you're going to get on the Super Sport, especially if you put high pressure cables. So you do a couple of mods to it, let's say. The brake is awesome. It's a racing bike, means that you know, it has been designed to be raced on different so let's say conditions on the track. It's meant to perform. The stability of the bike, the way that it turns, the way that it's so, especially Yamaha R6 is very rigid when it comes to the chassis. So it's a very rigid bike, but which means the suspension is much more harder. It means that you can feel a lot of the things on the road a little bit more difficult on the riding position, but it's the reason for that is because it's made to perform. So the harder suspension, it means that when you're turning, the way that the bike holds the turn, you're literally it's like you're riding on the ice with ice skates, you know what I mean? It's razor sharp, it's very accurate, it's very precise, and that gives you a different type of comfort. The leaning angle on the bike on how much you can actually lean the bike. Anyway, in general, it's my best. It's my, you know, each to his own. But for me, this is you know, this is what I always wanted, and this is what I always loved. Super sport bikes, you have to drive them more with your body, so they're a little bit more physical demanding, let's say, because they don't have such a big, let's say, steering angle. You have to basically turn with your body, so body positioning is quite important. The weight on the foot pegs is, you know, you gotta manage, you gotta be like pushing more down on the foot pegs, so it's a whole different type of riding style. And because when I was younger I really loved MotoGP, I used to watch the MotoGP drivers before I even got a bike. When I got my naked bike, which was my Kawasaki Z750, I drove it more like a super sport. And with some of my friends, when they had seen me ride sorry, they actually commented on that, and they said, dude, you're leaning a lot on the bike, you're not doing any counter steering, why, you know, why are you driving like that? And I thought, I don't know, this is how everybody drives, right? And they said, no, this is like more super sport driving. Ah, okay. But again, you know, subconsciously, because in the back of my mind, the bikes that I really loved were super sport. That's, you know, what I you know, subconsciously what came out of me when I read it. Another hilarious thing about the naked bike that I had is that I kept on putting things onto it. I kept on trying to add the different mods, fairings, plastic, and at some point my mechanic told me, you know, what the hell are you doing? It's a naked bike. You're never gonna put, like, you're not gonna make it a super sport. If you like a super sport, go get a super sport. So I did take his advice and I went off to get a super sport. At the beginning I thought, because of the money and everything, I thought, you know, much older model, but then I saw this and I fell in love. So my bike, the Kawasaki, I sold it for 3,300 euro. And I was looking within that margin. Basically, I was looking for a 2004 R6, which was much older, and the price was around there. It was around 4,000 euro. So I was going to give a little bit more and get it, but then I saw this one, and I also found I bought this from a private owner. After I had gone to the shops and I had a look at these, I saw that the prices were between 5,800 and 6,000 euros, which was like double than what I had, but it was worth it. But they were quite beat up, the condition wasn't as much, some of them were track bikes, so, you know. And then I found this guy that he literally had this bike for long distances, which was not what it's made for. He had not leaned the bike. It was perfect for me. So I gave the deposit and I bought this. Now, what's it like to ride a Yamaha R6? Besides the obvious, which I'm gonna say it's bloody awesome, I will give some details. It's like, how can I say it? To give like a surreal kind of a sorry, I'll put it in another way. I don't know if you've seen Resident Evil. If the future of the world was an apocalypse with zombies, you will want to get like a touring bike. You know what I mean? Because those are the bikes that go everywhere. You know, you can they're very how can I say, you can go everywhere, you can switch them from here, switch them from there, you know, it's this type of thing. If our future world utopia was a high-tech like Tron, then you will want a super bike. So I'm a huge movie guy, that's another thing to mention. So that's why I compared. My future utopia in my mind is like a high-tech sort of thing. So if you're going for that type of style, which is like slick, high tech, a lot of technology, smooth, razor sharp driving. You're looking for a super sport. Let me just pass this guy. The feeling is amazing for the super sport bike. I might put some pictures up as I'm speaking with this. So the design of the bike, a lot of people have said that you know, to change the, what do you call it, put an aftermarket slip-on exhaust. For personally, this bike is just perfect for me. So the factory exhaust, the terminal of the exhaust, to me is perfect. I will never want to change it. Besides sound wise, that would be the only thing I would say, you know, that I would change it for. Other than that, looks wise, for me it's perfect. It's got a very aggressive look. The fairings, the plastic, the tail of the bike is very sharp. It's like an arrow, you know what I mean? It's super sharp, super spaceship-like. And it was the first bike back in its time that actually did this, you know what I mean? There were other bikes, super sport bikes, that had that slick look, but nothing like the Yamaha R6. The Yamaha R6 was like out of this world. And if you just pay attention, this is the 2006 and 2007 model. So 2006 is when it first came out. I've got the 2007 model. There's no difference, the same bike. Google 2006 super sport bikes and just compare and have a look and tell me if I'm wrong, you know what I mean? Like, it was the first, Yamaha was the first company, and this is also one of the reasons why I love Yamahas. In general, Japanese brands. I prefer Japanese brands. So Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda, these are the brands for me. Suzuki, not as much, since the K8s had a couple of chassis issues, but you know, whatever. I don't go for European brands such as Aprilia, KTM, BMW, Ducati. I do like those bikes. I admire them. I love them. I love the design and everything. But you know, they're not for me. They require much deeper pockets and everything. So that's a little bit background of general stuff about the motorcycles. Now let's talk about the specific one. So my specific Yamaha R6, it's a Raven Black edition. That's what I call the black, with a little bit of red lines to it. As far as aesthetics, what I've done is I've taken away some decals that the bike had, and I kind of painted it more of a glossy. So if you can have a look, this used to be matte. I have painted it glossy. I have dropped the bike twice, once from one side, once from the other, from silly mistakes. One was trying to go on top of a walk path, and the walk path was a little bit slippery, and I did not have a proper angle, so I was a little bit skewed, and you know, that made my front tires drop. Minor scratches, no major damage. And another one is inside the parking, I actually knocked it over with my car, because the garage is very tight. As I was trying to leave with the car, I touched the front tire with the back tire of the car, the front tire of the bike with the back tire of the car, and it fall down to the left hand side. On the left hand side, the gearbox cover broke. It spilled all the oil out. It cost around 185 euro to fix it. So, and of course it had scratches and things. Luckily on both of these drops, no damage to the fuel tank, which is more like the metal component. So that's aesthetic wise what I've done to it. I have not changed anything else aesthetic wise, again I say. In general, I'm not a fan of doing a lot of mods on a bike. Some things I will change them. Some other things, like, I know that you can save a lot of weight, you can get a few horsepower here, a few horsepower there, but if it's nothing, I'm not going to do, and money wise as well, I'm not going to do 20 different modifications to the bike in order for me to get 5-10 horsepower. I'm not gonna do that. To me, it's not worth it. It's too much money. You change the whole behavior of the bike in some cases for what you get out of it. So as much as performance goes, I have put a high pressure brakes. I've used Hell as a brand, so I put you know, from the plastic sort of tubes I went to the metal tubes. And the other thing that I've done on the bike is I removed the X-up valve. The reason for that again was not for performance, it's because I had a problem. So my servo motor was the X-up valve it had an issue where it was not turning, therefore I used to get an error on my bike. So what I did is I removed the cables from the bottom side and the top side. I've left the actual motor so it kind of turns, I don't get an error. But part of that reason is that I removed the X-up valve. The good thing with that is sound-wise, I got a lot of crackling sounds on the bike, so it was very, hilarious from that aspect. But as far as the performance, no difference. And the other modification that I've done to the bike is the gear ratio. So I've, as I was about to change my gears and my chain, due to that there had been a long time, I've gone -1 gear at the front and +1 gear at the back. So that's what I've got at the moment. And that makes it huge as far as acceleration wise. So those are the only two modes that I've got. The bike feels amazing, it handles amazing, and we might make more videos and we'll reference that, showcase a little bit what it's like, open it up a little bit, like if I can find some better straights. Today is like my Julie routine sort of trip that I do to work, and there's a lot of traffic, so it's more dangerous. It's not recommended to actually go fast. But yeah, maybe over the weekends we might go to a better location where it has less traffic, and we'll open it up and I'll show you. I will I'll show you with the camera the speedometer as I'm accelerating, and then you can play it back in slow motion and see how long it took for 0 to 100. It's very fast. 0 to 100 is around 3.9 seconds something. So, and that's another thing that I love bikes. You can never get this on cars. You can never get this thing on cars because the amount of money that you're going to spend on a car in order to get this type of acceleration and performance is going to be ridiculous. You're never going to get it, basically. So you're going to spend 40,000, 50,000 on a car to get a super sport car in order to be able to have 0 to 100 3.9 seconds. You spend 6,000 euro on a on a super sport bike and you're done. And not just the super sport bikes, the other bikes, the ER6, which is the Kawasaki, my wife's bike that I used to drive for quite a while. So I never really stopped in my life driving bikes since I got one. The 6 years that I mentioned previously was that this bike was put on the side, and I was not driving this. The reason why I did this is also because my wife became pregnant with a child. So I noticed that I was very tight on the road, I was not comfortable, and because the super sport bike requires much more body driving, you gotta lean in. I was turning my shoulder, I was not facing proper, like I was not turning my shoulders and my head where I was going. I was driving silly, and that's because subconsciously I was kind of in the fear because I became a dad. Slowly that has gone away. My wife's bike was much easier to drive, and that's why I'll go back into it, and also for the physical thing that I mentioned in previous videos. Try to get a little bit more physical. So yeah, this is pretty much it. As a first overview about the bike, what I've done, what type of model it is. I might put some pictures up, I don't know, as I'm speaking about the bike, and like show some things. I've got it on the intro of the video clip, but nevertheless I'll put some things up. So yeah, this is This is the Yamaha R6 2007. Awesome, beautiful, beautiful bike. You know, 130 horsepower in the engine, 117 something on the wheel, 68 something torque of nano torque. It's a very, very, very powerful bike. Okay, so we're reaching my work. I'd like to thank everybody. I wish you have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Goodbye.